All right, so today, right now, I have a question that I'm helping a student with. It's simultaneous system of equations, and I want to use substitution method. The problem with this question is kind of you end up having fractions at the end, and almost none, almost all, if it's not all of the students don't like to deal with fractions. But the more you deal with fractions, better they're going to become. So let's do this. So I'm doing substitution method, and for substitution method, I need to solve for a variable because they have two equations. Here we have actually, let's start like this. We have one equation with two variables. So if you want to solve for a particular answer for x and y, you cannot. You're going to get infinite solution. Let's say you have just 10x minus 2y equal to 20, right? And if you want to solve for x or y, you can't get a particular solution. You can get infinite solution. Like if you give x a number like 0, what is y? You put a 0 here, y would be equal to negative 10. And if you put 1 for x, and it's going to be 10 here, you're going to have 10. If you substitute 10 from both sides, y will be negative 5. You see that the more values you give to x, the more values you're going to get for y. So that's why if you have just one equation with two variables, you cannot solve for one x or y, right? So that's why you need to have another equation, which is second equation comes handy and helpful to solve for one x and y. Graphically, what it means, so x, each one of these represent a linear equation, a line, right? And then let's say it's like this. If they're not parallel, if they're not exactly both same, if they're both exactly same, like this one of them, and second one is lying on that, means there's infinite solution everywhere they intersect each other. If they're parallel, like this case, that's one of them, the second one, they will never intersect each other, right? And the third case is the case that they intersect each other, like this case. And that's the point of intersection. We want to know what is x and we want to know what is y. This is a little bit, this is not supposed to be. Let me draw it a little bit with an angle, like that. This is just a random line I draw. So that's the point of, that's the intersection point. We want to know what is the x value, and we want to know what is y value. So this problem I'll solve with the substitution techniques, right, to get x and y. To do that, as it says, it's substitution technique. So I need to substitute for one variable, like either x or y, and then plug it into the other equation. So I need to solve either x or y. So to do this, and to minimize the headache that you may have with the fractions, even though it's good to learn completely how to deal with fractions, but if you want to minimize the problem of dealing with big fractions, right? So that's why you need to see what number you pick here to solve it is the best. See, for me, this is, oops, not like that. So for me, I will pick this one. I'm going to pick this equation first of all, and I'm going to solve for y, this y. Why? Because this has negative 2y. So I'm going to divide by 2 at the end. And then dividing by 2 is better than dividing by 3, 4, even 10. If you divide by 10, 10 is a good number, but you end up with decimal if you want to simplify it. So 2 is the best one, because when you make common denominators, it's just 2. 2 is less hectic than the others. So let's practice. So we have 10x. Let me change the color. So 10x, I'll pick that equation. I'm going to write the equation, be neat, and follow the steps exactly. Don't skip the steps because that's prone to errors. Equal to 20, right? To solve for y, I have to get rid of this, right? This part of the equation by moving it to right side. I'm going to move it to right side by subtracting 10x. And I need to do that from both sides. Subtract 10x from both sides. So if I add this left side, all this together, and this together, I'm left off with these two canceling, right? These two cancel because 10x minus 10x is 0. That was the whole purpose by subtracting 10x. And I'm going to have just negative 2y left, equal to, what is that? 20 minus 10x on the right side. Now see, Here, I'm going to divide it by -2. I need to get rid of this -2. It's multiplication operation between -2 and y is multiplication. So I need to divide it by -2 to have just y left. So divided by, that's the division line. Divide by -2. See? Now that was a good choice for me. I will see now that I picked the solving for -2y for this quantity. Over here that I mentioned it. Because now I'm dividing by -2, this -2 and -2 cancels. What's left? And this one also can simplify on the right side. This also simplifies. I'm going to show it to you now. Y equal to 20 over -2 minus 10x over -2. And that simplifies again to what? 20 divided by -2. 20 divided by 2 is 10. With a negative in front, it's going to be -10. And then, oh, this one is x. I missed the x here. So, and then 10 divided by 2 is -5. 10 divided by 2 is 5. There's negatives, going to be -5. This is going to be -5. X. And then, so what is y? Oops, my cell phone. Now it's recorded. So y is equal to -10. Oops, -10 like that. There's one negative here, another negative over there. So I'm talking about this negative and this negative. Two negatives, so negative times negative is positive 5x. See, I don't have fraction. So that was a good choice to pick. Now, what I'm going to do, y is equal to this. I'll pick the other equation. I have to write it down. So follow the procedures exactly. So I'm going to write the second equation down here, which was this one, which is 4x minus 3y equal to -5, right? So that's the second equation. And I'm going to substitute this y instead of y over here. Y is equal to -10x plus -10 plus 5x. So instead of y, I'm going to substitute -10x plus 5x. So that's going to turn into 4x minus 3 times -10 plus 5x equal to -5. And then distribution here we have that I have to consider it. So I'm going to have 4x minus -3 times -10. This one is going to be positive 30. And then -3 times positive 5x is going to be negative 15x equal to -5. Right? So let me change that because I'm going to put the distribution in that color. So this is the result. This orange color is the result of the distribution. So if you add the common terms, these are common terms, this one and this one. So the result from these two is going to be 4x minus 15x is going to be negative 11x. What's left? Plus 30 equal to -5. So solve for x. To solve for x, I'm going to subtract 30 from both sides. Subtract 30. So this cancels, right? Again, add the left sides together. And then I'm going to have negative 11x equal to what? -5 minus 30 is going to be -35. Right? By now dividing by, that's division, dividing by -11 both sides to get x. So x is equal to negative divided by negative is positive, so it's going to be 35 over 11. That's equal to, I don't need to convert it. I'm going to convert it, but I don't need to use it right now. But I'm just going to convert for better understanding what the number is. How many 11 is in 35? There's 3 of them. The remainder is like 35 minus 33 because 3 times 11 is 33. 35 minus 33 is going to be 2, so 2 11s. So that's x. But now we need to solve for y, and we already found y was equal to, it's right here, this one. Oops. This one. -10 plus 5x. -10 plus 5x. I don't need you. So y is equal to -10 plus 5 times 35 over 11. I don't need to use this, because if I want to multiply 5 by a fraction, that fraction has to be improper fraction, like this one, not a mixed number, not this. So we're done. So now we just need to calculate that quantity. Y is equal to -10 plus 5 times 35 is what? 5 times 5, 25. 5 carry 2. 3 times 5 is 15 plus 2, 17. 175 over 11. We can make common denominator. Let's deal with fractions right now. This over 1. If you want to add these two fractions, denominators have to be same, right? So they have to be 11, right? I'm going to change them to 11. So this is not going to change because it's 175 over 11, but this is going to change. 1 times what number is 11? That's 11. So you multiply this also by 11. -10 times 11 is what? It's going to be negative 110. So y is equal to that. And then y is equal to negative 175, negative 110. See, I'm just going to go step by step. Plus 175 over 11. So y is equal to, this minus this is going to be 65 over 11. And that's equal to, how many? 11 is in 65? 5, right? 5, and remainder is 555. So subtract from 65 is going to be 10. 10 over 11. That's right. Now we're done. You can check your work as you plot x and y. In earlier videos I mentioned it. So put x and y into both equations. Make sure you get true statements. All right, done.